Oh, I was working for John, what was it, since December of '70, so I had already been with him for a while.
So it was natural to make music together as well.
The music, we used to discuss music all the time. It was great. We had a great time talking about the music. We found out that we each had, we liked the same type of music, and we liked the same singers, and we, it was great, so it was easy. When John and I formally got together, he turned around and he said to me, come into my office. I got something to play you. Now, I had no idea what he was going to do. And he goes, I wrote this last night. And so it was something, and it was just a beautiful, he only had 2 lines. And he says, this is for you. And it's like, a what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, darling.
A lot of people don't realize that I was already working for them for 3 years.
And you were very young.
I was very young. But the thing was, I wasn't interested in John in any way of that. People say, oh, she probably was after John. I wasn't after John at all. When you work for somebody, after a while, you just get to know them. I was very happy.
But you liked them?
I liked them. I liked them both. I definitely enjoyed their company. I enjoyed working for them. I enjoyed a lot of stuff.
Did you feel you knew one more than the other?
No, I knew them both.
Okay.
It was just
Were they always together, like we saw them? Or did you get a chance to kind of form relationships with them?
Separately, yeah. You form, it depends. I worked on different projects with them.
So
when
would you work with him one day or the next?
Right. It depended who got me that morning,
Okay.
So whatever it was and who takes top billing, depending on how important the project was.
So 3 years into this dream
Yes,
job.
and this dream job, and then I worked very hard because I used to work like up to 16 hours a day.
And tell us about what a heavy duty,
a day
16-hour day was.
I'll tell you, it's like especially when we were doing recording sessions.
Mm-hmm.
That became
That's a big day.
That was a big day because all during the day, John would say, don't forget to get this, don't forget I want this type of piano there, can you get, so everything was in. But in the meantime, as Yoko was finishing her album, which was at that time Feeling the Space, John says, I want to go do my album, book the studio. Mm-hmm. So they were beginning to overlap. But as she was finishing, I was working on her, the media stuff for her and all this,
Wow. And his music was kind of to the side? That was
at that point he was just coming back into life. He hadn't recorded for about a year.
Was he writing?
No.
Oh, he wasn't.
So when he said to me, I want to go into the studio and I want those same musicians, I said, when do you want to do this? He goes, in 2 weeks. I said, you really want to go that soon? He said, yeah. He goes, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to go back into it for a long time. And I said, okay. And I booked it, and he goes, and he wrote the songs in that time period.
In that 2 weeks?
Yes. Wow. So Mind Games was written in that whole time period.
Incredible.
So whatever ideas he had or whatever he started, he gathered them all together, and he wrote that.
And when he was in that writing mode, watching the artist create, were you aware that he was writing? Was his mood different from when he was working?
If he was really working on something and he had an idea, he would just go into his office and shut the door.
Mm.
But it was really interesting because he always had scraps of paper. He had his, if he had an idea, it was always written down somewhere.
So he was disciplined
about
getting that.
Well, when in our apartment, he always had a pad and a pen right by his bed. So, of course, it never fails that as he's going to sleep, that's the things would come to him, and he knew if he didn't force himself awake, they were gone by the morning. Right. So he had to. Now, the best thing that ever happened during the daytime was, in the day when he was awake, was Sony had put out a tape recorder cassette. God, that sounds so long ago. A cassette player. I could use a cassette player, actually.
Yeah.
And he had these cassettes, and they would, and this player was now a recorder as well.
And that was like technology.
Absolutely.
Like
and it was
James Bond
small.
kind of
it was
thing.
Small.
Yeah.
This big was small. and he said, it has a recorder. And he was so happy because he would put it on the table, and he would take his guitar, and if he had an idea, he'd just play it. And he played it in several different, whether it be fast, slow, in different speeds. But what it did for him was it alleviated him having to keep it in his brain so that he could put it on cassette and come back to it later on and say, this is what I was looking for. And this is what I was hearing. So he didn't have, so that Christmas in '73, he gave to a lot of the musicians, that was the Christmas gift to everyone. So
It's
he was
incredible
he was
tool.
Yeah, that was technology. And I know if you're asking like most people do now, is they said, what would John think of today's technology? He'd be thrilled to know it because in our house, he was one of the first people to get an SX70 camera, which is on the cover, which, on my book.
Oh, right.
That Polaroid, because he had heard about that, right. So that camera, he had heard about it being test marketed in Florida first, before it was nationally done. He had somebody go down and pick one up. He liked the idea of getting something instant. It was instant for him.
Instant
Karma, but Instamatic Karma.
Wow.
And so
he was into his television. So he would be on the web.
Oh, are you kidding?
And
he probably wreak havoc on the web for all of us, because he can now hide behind everybody,
right,
and then just do whatever he wants.
Everywhere.
He would love.
But he was doing that in his way, with the limited,
with whatever limited
technology.
time, right? But he loved the idea that he can get information so quickly, and that was he was a sponge.
Yes.
He loved that instant. I need to find out about something now.
And a big newspaper reader.
Oh, every morning was the New York Times.
And also, what about the papers from
Britain? He kept up with it. That's a very British, tradition. On Sunday morning, everybody goes out to buy the papers, and you buy whatever you like, the Mirror, the Mail, the Evening Standard, whatever it was.
As if you're going to